Hi friends, welcome to the second part of the series. In this video, we are going to be building the server of a social media application to be able to handle CRUD functionalities, plus sending friend requests, accepting friend requests, and getting the friend request from a particular user. To be able to perform these functionalities, we are going to be using JWT to handle protected routes in our server. In the first part of this series, we create the application client side using React and Redux for team management. In this video, we are going to complete it by building the server side of this social media application. By the end of this video, you are going to have a complete social media REST API. But till then, I'll see you in my code editor. Peace. Okay, so you're welcome into the brand new VS Code, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my terminal by clicking here, and I'll select new terminal. And inside of this my terminal, what I'm going to do here is, let me close my sidebar and clear my terminal. What we want to do here is we want to first of all run npm init-y, so that it is going to initialize to us our package.json file. Then inside of here, you can see if I refresh this page, I can see this package.json file. And inside of my Explorer tab here, I'm going to create a new file called index.js. And inside of this index.js file here, let us set up our scripts. For this first one is going to be instead for start, and for the start is going to be node index.js, and for the development dev it is going to be node mon index.js, just like this. So I close my Explorer tab with Command B or Control B on Windows. Then inside of my terminal here, I can clear it, and I'm having some errors. Got to remove that one. Now inside of my terminal here, I'm going to make my folder structure. So let me close back my Explorer. So we are going to say make a D, which is going to be the first directory we are going to have is going to be for our config. We are going to have for our controllers. We are also going to have for our helpers. We are also going to have for middlewares that we are going to use. We are going to have for our models. We are going to have also for our route. And just like this, we are ready to go into the build. After clicking this, you are supposed to see all of your folders that you've just created here. And we are going to install now all of the dependencies we are going to use for this tutorial or for this build by saying npm install. The first dependency you want to install here is going to be bcrypt, and we are also going to install, let's say, bcrypt. We are also going to take in CORS. We are going to take in Cloudinary, also .env for environment variables. We are going to use Express as our framework and Node.js framework. They are going to use JSON Web Tokens, Mongoose, Node mon, and we are also going to use Morgan, so that we are going to be able to log in this request into our terminals. Great. Just like that, click enter and wait for the installation to be done, and I will see you there. So now the installation is done. If you refresh your Explorer here, you're going to see a node module file or folder. Now that this is done, let's go inside of our package.json file here, where we are going to say we are going to be using the type of module, just like this, so that we can use the import and export instead of our Node.js server. Now great. Now instead of our index.js file here, what we're gonna do here is we are going to say import express from express, like this. We are also going to say import, let's take in course from course, just like this. Then we also want to import, take Morgan from Morgan. Then we also want to import everything, that is star as dot env from dot env. Then we also want to, after importing this, we want to initialize our app. So we are going to say a const app, it is going to be express, just like this. And after this, we are going to say .env.config, and beneath here we are going to have our middlewares. Then we are going to have app.use, what we want to use. We want to use course. We also want to use app.use, we want Morgan, and we want to use in dev, just like this. Then also we want to use we are also going to be using app.use express.json in order for us to be able to pass in JSON document into our express server. Now that this is done, I'm going to say app.listing. In order for our app to listing, here we are supposed to pass in the port that our app is supposed to be listening to. I'm going to say here 8000. Then I'm going to provide in a callback function, and this callback function is just going to log to us that the server is running on 8000, just like this. So that here I can now come in my terminal, I clear my terminal, then I now run npm run dev, just like this. But for my case, I will use sudo npm run dev, which is going to prompt me to enter my password if you're using Mac or Linux. Now as you can see, the server has started. Nodemon index.js file, and I'm supposed to see here that the server is running on port 8000, just like this, which means everything is okay. So now instead of my config here, I'm going to configure my database. That is, I'm going to have here db.js file, and I'm also going to have here cloudinary.js file. Now inside of your root directory, that is in here, you're supposed to create a .env file where we are going to store all of our environment variables that we're going to be using inside of this app. Now inside of this db.js file here, what you're gonna do is import, let's say you want to import mongoose from mongoose. Then here we are going to say const, what do you want to define? We want to define here connect to our db, and after this is going to be an asynchronous function, async, and which is just going to pass just like that. Since it's an asynchronous function, we're going to use try catch, and if there's any error, we just want to log here error.message, just like this. And if there's not any error, I'm just going to say here await mongoose.connect. it is going to connect here to our process .env MongoDB URI, just like this. And if it is done connecting, or if the connection is done, we just want to log here in our terminal that database, let's say database connected, just like this, and you saving your file. And don't forget also to export this, let's say export connect db, just like this. Now this is not going to work because we don't have here MongoDB URI. So you head over to mongodb.com/atlas in order for you to have this. And after you're done, you are going to ask you to sign in or log in. After you're done logging in, you are going to be redirected to a place like this. But if this is your first time, you are going to create your cluster and everything. So but for this case, we are going to create here a new project. So you click on new project here. So first thing first, you want to give in the project name. I'm just going to say here RSM server, because this is our React social media server. And I'm going to click here create project. So click on the build a database here, and click on this M0 here. Make sure that it is free, and also free highlighted down. And after that is done, they're going to ask you some few questions here. Velo in English means bicycle, so you're supposed to select everywhere you find a velo. I am bilingual. So they ask you also to find where there's a moto. So now after this, it is going to redirect you. And you may be asking yourself, but who's this guy? I am fully bilingual. I speak 2 languages, that's English and French. So I'm going to give my password, username. So create user here. So click on the create user, and it's going to now say here that you should add your IP address. So I'm going to say here 00000/0, so that this is going to give me the permission to access my database anywhere around the world. So now here I can now remove my current IP address, and I click on finish cluster, and it's going to redirect me to my database. So for now it is done. Click on the connect, here, and connect MongoDB with for VS Code. Then you copy the string like this, go back inside of your .env file here, where you're going to say that MongoDB URI, just like this, and you paste in your string. Change the password to your password give. For me, my password I was username also, and you save your .env file. And when you're done changing your .env file, you're supposed to key your server, and you restart it one more time. So first of all, clear it, and you restart it again. Now nothing is showing, which means that inside of my index.js file here, I am supposed to say import my connect db from db.js. Don't forget you're using the import. So you're supposed to provide the extension of the file, and just beneath this connect here, I'm just going to call my db like this. So now I'm supposed to see if my database was successfully connected or is there any problem. If there's any problem, we are going to fix it as we go on. Now while we are waiting for that to be done, inside of our models here, we are going to create in the first model, which is going to be user.js, and the second model, which is going to be for the post.js, just like this. And now let me close this post tab. As you can see, our database was successfully connected. Now in order for us to use now this model here, I am going to say import mongoose from mongoose, just like this. And beneath here, I'm going to say const user schema, and our user schema is going to be on new mongoose dot. Now this is where we're supposed to define user model is going to look like. So for this case here, we want our user model to, or our users to have an email, a username, and a password. So in order for us to do this, we are going to say a username, and here we are going to say a type of string, and we also want to give it a required equals to true, and also we want to give it a unique, and also we want to make it to be true, just like this. So that's the model for the username. We also want to take in the email address, and I'm just going to copy these values here. We want to make it to be unique, and also we want to make it to be required, and also want to make it to be a string. Now after you're done for your email, let me bring this also to a new line. I want to also take in here the let's say password, which is going to be a type of string and just required, like this, so I can paste it inside of there. Then the third one is going to be for the profile picture, which is going to be, it is not going to be required, but instead it is going to be a type of string, and by default we are going to give it a default we are going to give it a default placeholder. That is, if the user is not having no profile picture, we're going to give him this no avatar picture here, that is coming from Cloudinary. And also we want to take in here comma friend request, which is going to be in the format of an array, that is having an object. The first object that we're going to have, the first property inside, is going to be for the friend user, and the friend user is going to be a type of string and also a required of true. So I can copy this from above here. So type of string, required to be true. Now the second property we are also going to have here is going to be is approve, and if it is approved, we want to give it here, the type is not going to be boolean, the type is not going to be string, instead it's going to be a boolean type, and the default here, the default is going to be false. That is, you have your friend request haven't been approved yet. Now that this one is done, you can have the second, which is going to be for the friends, And for the friends also is going to be an array containing an object which is going to be friend user. So I can just copy this one here and paste it below like this. And also we are going to have the user description, so we are going to say this description, and it's just going to be a type of string, just like this. It is not going to be required, and also we are not going to make it to be too complicated. Then now outside this, we are going now to have here our time stamps, and we are going to set it to be true, just like this. And after this, we are going to export our user model here. So we are going to say here const user, which is going to be mongoose.model, and the model name we want to have here is going to be for user. And what do we want to pass in? We want to pass in this user schema we created above. So you can now say that export default user, just like this. Now our user controller or our user model is done. Great. Now that we are done with this user file here, we can now go inside of our routes here, and we establish all the routes that we're going to have for a particular user. So I can say here that user route.js, and inside of this user route here, we are going to say here that import everything. First of all, import everything as user from -- file here is going to be coming from the controllers, and we are going to say user controller.js like this. So but for now we haven't created it yet, so we can create the file just like this, and import everything as user from that part. And also here we want to import the router from Express, and we want to reinitialize this router, and we say const, it is going to be router, which is going to be this router here, just like this. And when you're done, don't forget to say export default router, just like that. Now inside here we are going to have different routes. So the first route that we're going to have is going to be for the register user route, just like this. It is going to say here router dot post, and we want to say here that /register, and we are going to have here create user dot create user, just like this. And for the second part that we are going to have, it is going to be for the login user. Let's hold this login user route. Here is going to be, instead of register, is going to be login user, and the controller that we are going to target here is going to be login user, like this. And we are also going to have here for, let me bring this one down some few other times. After this, we are going to have ability for us to update user route, where we are going to collect the ID of the user. Is going to be a dynamic ID, and here is going to be a put request, and we are going to say update user. Then we are also going to have for the update password, and we are also going to take in the ID from the user, that is the user ID. And here is also going to be a put request. Here is going to say update user password, just like that. And after this, it is going to be for a get request, where we are going to take in here a user, and we are going to get in here the user ID, and here is going to just say get user, just like this. And after this, we are going to also have for the ability to send to have here a friend request, and we are going to have here the ID. This is going to be user dot send friend request, like this. And instead here I made a typo. It is going to be ID slash friend request, like this. And we are also going to be able to, let's say here it is going to be for slash accept. So it's going to here say accept friend request, just like this. Request here is going to be for the send accepting user friend request. Route here is going to be for the sending user friend request route. Here is going to be to get a user route. Here is going to be for update user password route, and for the update user. Then the last one, which is going to be to get all user friend requests, just like this. And here is going to be for, it is just going to be here that it is going to be the friend request, and here is going to be a get request. Here is going to be a post request and also a post request. And the last but not the least that we're going to have here, it is going to be to delete a user. So inside here you're going to have in the user ID they want to delete, which is going to just say delete user. Great. Now that we are done with that part, so now inside of our controller here, what we are going to first of all say, we are going to import this user model that we created ever since. I think I've closed it. Let's say this is our user model here. So we are going to import this model inside of our user controller file here. So let me go inside of my controllers here. So I'm going to open my user controller file here. So now instead of this controller file here, what I'm going to say import user from the models, and it is going to be user.js file here. Now inside of this here, we are going to also import some different couple of stuff that we're going to use. So we're also going to say import hash. We are going to say compare, and it's going to be coming from b crypt. And we are also going to import Cloudinary and JSON Web Token. Let's say import JWT from JSON Web Token, just like this. And in order for us now to perform our first route here, which is going to be for the create user route, we are going to say const, and this is going to be create user, which is going to be an async chronos function, async, which is going to take in request response, and we perform our try catch block inside here. And if there's any error, what I want to do here is I just want to say res.send, here is going to be 500, or res.status.send, it is going to be message, which is going to be error dot message, like this, that we're going to have. Now inside of this file here, what we are going to do is going to be, we want to extract the information that we're going to have from the users. So first thing first here, in order for me to do this, so I'm just first of all going to duplicate so that we can have for each and every route that we're going to create in this project. So now it is going to be for the second route that we're going to have, which is going to be for the login user. So here is going to be login user, like this. And the third one, which is going to be for, let me follow the models or the route file here. The third one is going to be update user, so it's going to be update user, like this. And the fourth one, which is going to be update user password, so you can duplicate this. And the fifth one, which is going to be for the get a user, and the sixth one, which is going to be, this one is going to be the send friend request, and the seventh one is going to be accept friend request. Then we are also going to have here get all user friend request, the eighth one. Get all user friend requests. And the last one, which is going to be for the delete user, so going down here, delete user, just like this, and we are ready. Now inside of here, we are going to start with the first one, which is going to be, and also please don't forget to export all of them. So we are going to go with the first one, is going to be create user. We are going to have login the user. We are going to have update user password, and we are also going to have get all user friend requests. We are going to have send requests. We are also going to have accept friend request, and the last one, which is going to be delete user, like this. So now all of our functions were exported successfully, so I'm going to be closing them, the one that we are not working with them now. I'm going to shrink them, and we are going to start working with the login user in a minute. So now we are here inside of the login user. To do here is, we want to first of all get in the required field that in this model, which are the username, email, and the password. So we are going to destructure this in our request.body. So we are going to destructure it. We are going to take in the username, email, and also the password, just like this. And yeah, first of all, what we want to do here is we want to check if this user exists already in the database. If the user is not in the database, then we are going to return. If the user already exists in the database, we are going to return an error. And if the user doesn't exist in the database, we are going to continue. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say const existing user, and I'm going to say await user dot find one. What do I want to find? I want to find here with the or symbol. That is, I want to either check with the username. I'm going to say like this. The first one I want to check with is going to be the username, or I want to check with the email. Now this is going to return to me either a true or false. So if there is an existing user, what I want to do here is, first of all, I want to check if there's an existing user. If there's an existing user, what I want to do here is to throw a new error, and what I want to say here is user already exists with this credentials, like this. But now also I want to check, first of all, if there is no username, or there is no email, or there is no password provided to us by the user, and I want to return here return, or let me just throw a new error. And what it is going to say here is these fields are required, just like this. Now that this one is done, what I'm going to say here is, instead of this create user here, after we are having this, after done checking this, we are going to say that const hash password, and this hash password, it is going to be equals to await hash. What do we want to hash? We want to hash this password that was provided to us by the user, and we want to give it a sort. As you can see here, the sort is at 10, so we are supposed to give it a sort which is also 10, as provided to us by the crypt documentation. And now after this one is done, I want now to create a new user. So I'm going to say const new user. It is going to be new user, and what I want to give here is the username and also the email. But now the password that my user is going to be having is going to be this hashed password, just like this. So I have my username, email, password, and the password is going to be this hash password. Then after this one is done, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say here const user or saved user is going to be await new user dot save, just like this, so that it saves it inside of the database. And now when this is done, I'm going to say request.status of 200.send. What do I want to send? I want to send, first of all, a message by saying here, let's say account created successfully, like this. and the second field is going to be the user, which is going to be the saved user, just like this. And in order for us to test if this actually works, I am going to open Postman. Now I'm going to go to my register user here, and inside of my register user here, we are going now to perform this particular request here. So these are my fields that I'm going to use. Username, it is going to be do, email do@gmail.com, password at 1234, and let me try to see now. Yeah, this is a variable I created called user route. As you can see, this is the endpoint http colon / localhost 8000 API / user. But for now it's not going to work because we haven't called this particular route inside of our index.js file. So how do we do this? We go inside of our index.js here, and we are going to say import user routes from, this is going to be coming from routes, and we are going to take in the user route.js like this. Now I'm going to say end, this is going to be for my endpoints, app.use. What do I want to use? I want to use this as my API / user, and yeah, it is going to be for the user routes. And just like this, if I save, yeah, you're going to see there is no problem, and it is going to be connecting to my database very soon. And as you can see, my database was connected successfully. Now you can see the way Morgan is logging this request into my particular server or my terminal. So if I go back again here and I click on send, I need to see now my new user that was created to me. I can have an account created successfully, and I can see my user details, the password that was encrypted, the profile picture, the default one, and also, where am I? And my ID, and also the friend request that I have, the friends, and the created ad and the updated ad. Now let me check if this is inside of my database here. Let me close this, and let me click on browse collection. Now when you're on the collection page, yeah, I can see test, and also I have my users here. So this is do account that was created successfully. I can see do@gmail.com and everything that was created successfully. Great. Now let's move on to the next controller, which is going to be for the login user. Now first of all, inside of this login user here, we are going to be performing to log our users with the email and the password. So I'm going to destructure also the email by me saying const email and password, which is going to be coming from request.body. And after this, I'm going to say a const user, it is going to be await user.find one, and the one we are trying to find is the one with the email address, say email, and other user with this email I will want to log inside of my, or I want to send, if there is no user, I want to throw a new error by saying that here user not found, just like this. And after this is done, I'm going to say a cons is match. It is going to be, I'm trying to compare here, let's say comparing the user passwords. Cons is match is going to be await compare. What do I want to compare? I want to compare the password that was provided to us by the user and also with the current user dot password, just like this. And after this, if is not is match, what I want to do here is I'm going to say here throw new error, which is going to be, let's say, passwords don't match, like that. And if they match, what I want to do here is I want to create my new token from JWT. So now how do I actually create this token? So I'm going to say there that const token, it is going to be equals to JWT dot sign. And what do I want to sign here? I want to sign here the first parameter, which is the payload I want to give here, is going to be the user ID, which is going to be the user dot ID. And also I want to have my email, which is going to be user dot email, like this. And I also want to have my user name, which is going to be user dot user name, just like this. Now this is our payload. Now it requires now here the secret or the private key, which is going to be coming from process dot env dot jwt underscore jwt secret underscore secret. And the third parameter that we pass into it is going to be for how long do you want this this token that will be created, how long do you want it to be valid. So we are going to provide here with, let's say, 30 days, just like this, which means that after 30 days this token will already be expired, and if you try to use this token, it is going to give you an error. Now inside here we are going to say that after creating this token, we want to say res.send or res.stay2, which is going to be 200.send. What do you want to send? We want to send here, it is going to be, first of all, we are going to have here our token, and we are also going to have the ID, which is going to be user.id, just like this. So now we have this endpoint for the login user. Let's see if this particular endpoint matches or it works. Let me see, everything is working here, no crash. So I'm going to go to my login user here. I'll try to log in. Let me see if the password they match. Yes, so this password they match. So I'm going to say login user here. Now there they say the secret private key must have a value. This is coming because we haven't provided in our .env file here. We don't have any JWT secret, and I am just going to give it here to be 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. This is going to be my JWT secret, and every time you're done with that, you're supposed to restart your terminal or your server So clear your terminal, clear, and you run sudo npm run dev. And after this, we are going to try again one more time to see if our login route works successfully, or if there's any problem that we are supposed to do, or we are supposed to change or check inside of our login system. So now here I am going to go again here, and I will run this request. So now everything is working here. This is a token that was delivered to us. Let me change this password, and I put maybe 123 like this, and I send. It is going to now give me this, that password don't match. Great. So now everything works well. So if I send again, I'm going to be recovered with this particular token. Great. Now that we have this particular token here, we have our login endpoint that works successfully. I can shrink it, and I can also shrink for the user like this. Now we can now work with the update user. So in order for us now to update a particular user here, as we said, instead of this route, let me close this, close my .env, and I go to my route here. What we want to do in this route here is, first of all, we want to get in the ID of the user. That is, we are going to destructure that ID. So I'm going to say here const ID, which is going to be coming from request.params, and I'm also going to take here const user ID. It is going to be coming from request.user. I don't know, you're asking yourself now, where is this request.user coming from? So now, in order for us to access this request.user variable, we need to create a protection system or an authentication system that is like a middleware, that in order for us now to access this particular update user route, it first of all needs to check your token that was provided. If your token is a valid token, it is now going to give you now access to this particular, it is going to give you access to this particular route. And now in order now here, you are also going to be passing it like a parameter or like a variable that is going to be called request.user, and instead of this request.user, we are going to be passing in also the user ID. So now how do we especially do this? So we are going to go inside of our middlewares here, we are going to create a file called protect.js. Instead of here, we are going to say import JWT from JSON Web Token like this, and inside of here we are also going to say import user from, it is going to be coming from the models, and user.js like this. Now inside of here we are going to have here const protect, which is going to be equals to, inside of here we are going to have here an async function, which is going to take in the request, the response, and also next, that is going to prevent us to continue inside of this endpoint, like to access the other controller file that we have there. Now inside here we are going to just say our try catch block, and if there is any error, we are just going to say here that res.status here is going to be 41.send, and what do you want to send here? It is going to be message, and it's going to be error dot message, just like this. Now inside of here we are going to create in here our token, const token. Now this token is going to be coming from request.headers, or the request.header. And which header do we want to access? We want to access the authorization header, and we want to check dot replace. And what do we want to replace? We want to replace the bearer, that is this capital BR. You give it a space. After the bearer you put a space, then you put a comma. You want to replace it with a string, just an empty string like this. Now after you've gotten this token, you want to check now here. Let's first of all see, let's log this token. Let's see if we can have access to this token. Now how do we use this route? So first of all here, or let's just say here that next, let's have it next here, or for now let's not have this next. Let's go inside of our routes here, and let's say import protect from, it is going to be coming from middleware and protect.js here, and we want to use this protect inside of here, so I'm going to say here protect, and I'm going to put a comma like this. Now let me save my work. See my terminal has crashed. This is because I haven't exported this protect like this. So now that I've exported the protect, let me now see if I go to update user here, and I go to my authorization tab here, that is the headers that I want to send. I go to authorization. Now instead of this authorization, select bearer token, and go inside of this login user here, collect this token like this, and go back to your user here, select that token and paste it, that send this request. Now it's going to be like an endless request, but now if you go inside of your terminal, you're supposed to see this is the token that was provided to us by the user. So we can now go here and cancel this request for it to stop running, just like that. Now that we have this token here, we can now check now to see if this token, like, it works with the default token that we have in our variable, that is in our process.env file. So I'm going to say here const decoded token. This is going to be JWT dot verify. What do I want to verify? I want to verify this token with my process dot env dot JWT underscore secret, just like this. And now that this, if this is true, I want to say here that const user, this is going to be await user.find by ID this decoded token. Let's say decoded token dot user ID. Remember, instead of our controller here, instead of this login controller here, what we gave here is user ID. So we maintain the character, or we maintain the naming convention that we gave. So now instead of this user here, I'm going to check first of all if there is no user. What I'm going to return here is, I'm going to say throw new error, and the error here is going to be invalid token, just like this. And now we are going to now declare this variable called request.user We are going to set it to be the user ID, and we are going to take it now from this user.id like this, in order for it to be more secure and protected. Now that everything is done, you can now call in now this next. Don't forget to put in the next. And now if I save it and I go now inside of my user controller, just inside of here, if I now say log me this user ID, if I go and I perform this request here and I go back inside of my terminal, you are going to see it gives me this new object ID, and now this is my user ID that exists here. So sweet. Now inside of here, I can now, let's comment this user ID. Now first of all here, I want to check the user ID. If this user ID that was provided to us, I want to check if it equals to this our ID here. If it equals to this our ID here, let's say let's log hello. Now I am going to copy this user ID that was provided to us. I am going to copy this user ID here, and I'm going to change this ID here, and I'm going to paste this new ID here. So I'm going to send this request, and I am expected to see a hello here because these users, they are the same. So I never saw the hello. This is simply because instead of this ID here, it was returned to us in a new object ID dot this. So we have the new object ID and we had this ID variable. Now in order for me now to make it to be the same, I need to convert it to a string. So I will say here to string, just like this. And now if my server starts running again, connected to database, and I send again, now I need to see now this hello text that we have here. So which means that everything works. So first of all here, we want to first of all check if these IDs, they are not the same. So if they are not equals to the same, like the user ID that is the authenticated user is not equals to the request.params.id that was provided to us. So we want to check if they are not the same. We want to now say throw new error. It is going to be error, and the error is going to be can only update your account, just like this. And after this, I want to check first of all if they are the same. If they are not the same, like that, now let's declare a variable here. It is going to be let profile URL equals to an empty string for now. And now what I want to do here is, first of all, I want to check if we have a request.file, and if there is a request.file, what I want to do here is I want to check, I am checking here if the profile picture was provided instead of our request file method here. And if that is true, I want to say const image is going to be await, let's say Cloudinary dot uploader. We haven't configured Cloudinary yet. Dot upload, And what do I want to upload? I want to upload this request dot file and the path, like this. Now let's first of all comment this line. If not, our server is going to crash. And now let's go back inside of this config and go to Cloudinary here. What we are going to do here is we are going to say here, import v2 as Cloudinary. I'm trying to import everything as dot env from dot env, just like this. And after this, I'm going to say a Cloudinary Cloudinary.config. What do I want to config here? I want to config here, it usually asks for your cloud name. I am going to allow it to be a string for now. Also your API key, which is also going to be a string for now, comma, and also your API secret, which I'm going to make it to be a key for now, an empty string for now. So in order for you to have your Cloudinary key and Cloudinary secret and your Cloudinary cloud name, you need to head over on to cloudinary.com. You create your account and it's going to redirect you to a dashboard like this, where you're going to see your Cloudinary name, your Cloudinary email, and your Cloudinary API key and your API secret. So I am going to copy my Cloudinary name and I'm going to store it inside of my .env file. So I'm going to go inside of my .env file. What I'm going to say here is going to be Cloudinary cloud name, and I'm going to set it to be equals to this. And I'm also going to copy for this is going to be API key. It is going to be that, and I'm also going to copy my API secret. So bring this one down, secret, and go ahead and use yours, don't use mine. So go ahead and configure yours just like that. And after you're done with your .env, just say .env .config, just like this, so that here you can say process.env dot your cloud name like this. Let me just copy my .env here so that I have no error. Let me just copy these 3 lines here, copy them, so that here what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select these 3 lines. Let me remove these strings also. So I'm going to copy these 3 lines, select them, and I'm going to place my cursor in front of them. So I'm going to say a process.env and I'm just going to paste these links that we have here. So for the cloud name, API key, and the API secret. So in order for you to have multiple cursors on the same line, you select the line and you press the Alt key on your keyboard, and you click the line or the place you want it to appear. Great. And when you're done, you export your Cloudinary, export this Cloudinary so that it can be used in our user controller here. So don't forget, we are supposed to restart. So I'm going to say here Cloudinary, which is going to be coming from config and Cloudinary.js, like that. Now inside of here, we can now continue with this controller here, and what we are going to do here is, I'm just going to say after this is going to be profile URL, which is going to be image.secure URL, just like this. So here what I'm trying to say here is, I'll get the secure URL of the uploaded image. Now that this is done, I want to say the const. What is this const? I want to destructure this profile picture. So I'm going to say a const profile pic and profile pic, and yeah, it is going to be others, which is going to be coming from the request.body, just like this. Say a destruction. So I already have now this, so if I hover on this, it shows me here like any. So what I'm going to say here is const updated fields, which is going to be, for now it is going to be these others that we have here. So it's going to be these others here. So what I'm trying to do here is, I'm trying to create a copy of the other files, and now if there is a profile URL, this profile URL, what I want to do now is, I'm going to say here that uploaded, that is of this updated fields dot profile picture, which is going to be this profile URL that we have above, profile URL. And what I want to say here is, let me add a comment here, add the profile image to the updated fields. And now after this, I will want to say here, let me say update the user in the database, like this. So I'm going to say here const updated user, it is going to be await user dot find by ID and update. So which ID do I want to pass in? This ID here, and we have our updated fields, and for the third parameter, it is going to be new, and we are going to set it to be true, so that it responds to us with this updated data at once, so it doesn't wait for us to re-update it. So now after this process is done, so we are going to have here const or res.send, and what are we trying to send here? We are trying to send we are going to have here res.status, and inside of this res.status, we want to send in here a status of 200, and we want to send in here the new user which is equals to this updated user, this one here. And just like that, we have this now, this user. Great, just like this. Now that our part is done, we have now this. So now let's test to see if this particular thing really works. So I'm going to go inside of my body here, and instead of, since here my email or my name was though at this, I'm going to send it, or I'm going to change it, and I'm going to provide it here with mouse and everything like that. So now after this, you can see now how it has updated my account. So if I now try now to go back here, and I try to log in with though, you can see here that user not found, and it is correct because we have already updated our profile. Great. Now let's work on this update user password. So how do we make to update the user password? It is quite simple also. So first thing first, here we are going to perform the same logic like what we did above here. So I'm going to say here const this same, and I'm going to paste it here like this. And also I'm going to say here import or const the current password and the new password. These are going to be the fields that are going to be provided to us by the user, and this is going to be coming from request.body, just like this, request.body. Now let me remove some of these lines. Now if this is done, so what I'm going to say is const, we are going to find this user, const user, it is going to be await user dot find by id, and which id do I want to pass? I want to pass this user id that we have here, id. And if there is no user, I want to throw here, throw new error user not found, just like this. And if there's a user here, we want to now first of all compare the current password that was provided to us by the user and the one that exists in the database. So I'm going to say const is match, and it's going to be await compare. And what do I want to compare? I want to compare this current password with the user dot password. So if this password they match, it is going to return to me. So is match. If it is not match, so I'm going to say throw new error, and the error is going to be, let's say, passwords don't match. And if they match here, I'm going to say here const hashed password. It is going to be await hash here, and this hash is going to hash now this new password, and this new password is going to take here the 10, that is the sort. And we are going to say here user dot password, it is going to be equal to this hashed password here, and if that is done, we just want to say here that user.save, so that we can save now this user inside of the database one more time. And after this is sent, so I'm going to send here request.send. Let's say request.send. Or before we send, we want to first of all get the status, which is going to be 200.send the message, which is going to be password updated successfully. Just like this. And in order for us to use this, we are going to go inside of this, and we are also going to pass in here the protect, and we are going to go back inside of Postman here, and we are going to go to update password, then it is going to be for the route. Let me see the route. Update password, and it is going to be for a particular ID. So I'm going to copy this user ID here, and I'll paste this ID there, and I'll also copy this token, go inside of my authorization. Let me open this token, and I will also come here, paste the same token. Now if I send, yeah, I'm going to see here that password updated successfully. So inside of my body here, what I did is I sent the current password, which is 11234, and the new password, which is 12345. Now if I go here and I use the mouse as we created before, and I send, you can see here that password don't match. But if I add here the 5 and I send again, you are going to see we are going to have this account back to life. Now great, so you are done with the update user. We are done with also that part. We are done with this. Now it is for us now to be able to get a particular user. So now how can we get now this particular user? Just to get this particular user, we don't need to go and get the user from like the protected, or this route is not being guided. So what I'm going to say is, I'm just going to say const here user ID. It is going to be coming from request.params. Now instead of this, we are going to have here const user, and it's going to be await user dot find by ID, and this ID is going to be the user ID that was provided to us, like this. If there is no user, what we want to do here is we want to throw a new error, user not found, like this. And if there is a user here, we just want to say rest.send, or let's say rest.status, let's say 200.send user to be equals to, let's just say user, like this. Now if I go back now on Postman and I say get a user, then I change this route to, let me go here and I say user, and let me get this particular user ID. So let me go here let me copy this ID, get user, and I paste it there. Let me save also these other endpoints. So now for me to get a user now, it is a get request. So if I send now this to MongoDB, they say could not get requests. So let me see, my database is connected. Let me send again. It takes time. So it's must see if there's an error with my app. So now let's figure out where the error coming from. res.state2.this.send this user. So let me just say user like this first of all, and I see again. Or instead of my routes, user route, forget a user. Okay, so this is where I had an error. Actually this route is not found. So let me put it like this. So user ID connected. So if I now send again, so you can now see that we have this, but now we are getting this user with his password and his friend request, which is supposed to be seen just by the user alone, not by either his followers or those that are his friends. These are like secret fields that only the authenticated user must see. So now in order for us to remove these properties or this from this user data here, what we're gonna say is, let me comment here that removing sensitive data from the user object like this. Now we are going to say here const, what do we want to remove? We want to remove the password, or let me just say user dot to object, just like this. I want to remove the password, and I also want to remove the friend request. And what I want to do here is I want to give this to user, let's say user data here, user data. So now these fields are the removed fields, that is the password and the friend request. And if I hover now here, you are going to see now the fields that we are going to be sent with. That is, we are going to have the created at, updated at, profile picture, our friends, the username, email, and the description of who we are. So instead of doing this, now it's going to be user, which is going to be this user data here, just like this. And I think we are ready to try it again one more time. So if I send again, as you can see, only the username, email, password, profile picture, friends, and created at, updated at was sent. So which is great. Now that this get request is done, I can now also close that part, and I can also close my updated password. Let's work on the friend request, and for us to be able to send friend requests instead of our server. So first thing first, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy some things instead of this updated user. Also, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to check, let me just copy this updated one. We are going to remove the unnecessary, so we don't need this password, we don't need it. And yeah, we are ready to go with this. So we are taking the ID. So now let me make some comments so that you know which ID we want to work with. This is the ID of the recipient, that is the person we are sending the friend request, and this is the ID of the current user, just like this. So instead of us checking if it is not equal to, we are going to check if it equals. If it equals, and we are going to say here, you can't send a request, a friend request to yourself, just like this. After we are done checking with that, let's now go for that part. Now instead of here, we are going to now say we want to say here, let's say recipient, we want to check. So let's say checking if the recipient user exists. So I'm going to say here const recipient, which is going to be await user.find by ID, and we want to give this ID the params. Also, if the current user exists, so I'm going to say a const current user equals to await user.find one, and the one we are trying to find with is with the user ID, just like this. Now if there is no user ID, or there is no current, and there is no also recipient user, what are you going to say? We are going to say throw new error, which is going to be user not found, just like this. And after this, so what we want to do now is we are going to check if the current user has already sent a friend request to the recipient. So now we are going to have here that const, it is going to be existing friend request, which is going to be await, or let's just say here recipient dot friend request dot find the, we want to find that for each request that we are looking here, the request dot user, or the request dot friend user dot friend user, that is equals to this ID, that is the current user ID, that is the user ID dot to string, just like this. Now if we already have like a existing friend request, what we are going to do here is we are going to say that if there's already an existing friend request, we want to say that throw new error, and let's say you have already sent a request to this user, just like this. And we want to check also const if they are already friends, so existing friends. So we are want to say if they are already existing friends, so we want to check if the sender dot friends, that is if this current user dot friends like this dot find for each friend. What we want to check is the friend for each friend. We want to check in the friend dot user or the friend dot friend user equals this recipient equals this recipient dot id dot to recipient dot id dot to string, just like this. Want to check if they are already existing friends. Now if they are already existing friends, what I'm going to say here is if already existing friends, what I'm going to say here is I'm going to say throw new error, you are already friend to this user, just like this. And if they are not friends, what I'm going to say here is I'm going to say that recipient dot friend request dot push. What do I want to push here? I want to push this friend request, so friend user, it is going to be this user id dot to string, just like this. And after me done with this, I'm going to say await recipient dot save, just like this. And after this is done, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say that res.state2, this is going to be 200.send. What do I want to send here? I want to send here a message saying that friend request successfully sent, just like this. And if I save my work and I go back to my route here, user route, which is I need to first of all have the ID of the friend I'm trying to send the request. But if I go back to my MongoDB Atlas database, I can see that I have just one user. That is, if I refresh here, I see that I have just one user, which means that in order for me to send a request to another user, I need to first of all I need to have more than 2 users in my database. So I'm going to close my Cloudinary tab and I will go back inside of my VS Code or inside of my Postman here on the create user, that is this register user here. Since we have no user with these credentials with do, I am going to create a new user with do@gmail.com and everything. Then inside of do here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in with do, and the password of do is 1234. I will save this and I will send the request. So now this is those token, and if I go back to my database and I refresh, yeah, I need to see that we have 2 users right now. So this is the first user, which is Miles, and the second user, which is called Do. Now, in order for me now to perform my friend request, so I'm going to go to send request here, and let me copy. It is going to be Do that is sending this friend request. So let me copy Do like this, and instead of the authentication, let me copy my bearer token, and let me go to Do. This is Do. This is Do's bearer token here. So I'm going to copy this, and I'll go back to send friend request, and I'll put this token like that. Now if I try to send a friend request, I should have an error, cannot destructure property of ID inside of request.user. This is because instead of this friend request here, we haven't protected it. So with the protect, as we usually do, let's go again, connected to the database, and let's try again one more time. You can't send a friend request to yourself. Great. So which means that I am supposed to copy Miles ID and paste it here. Then I save my workspace. Then I send now my friend request. So now I can see now here that friend request successfully sent. If I go to my cluster here or to my database here and I refresh, what I'm going to see now here, instead of this friend request, instead of my friend request, I need to see an object with a friend user, which is Do's ID. And if I try to send again a friend request, I need to have an error that you have already sent a friend request to this user. Sweet. Now that part is done for the send request to the user. So going back inside of my controller here, let me also add the protect for this route so that we don't have the same problem again. And also the protect is also going to be for this route because we only want the authenticated user, and likewise is going to be protect for this user also. Now that this is done, let's now go inside of close your friend request, and instead of the accept friend request, so I'm just going to copy the same things in the send friend request here. So I'm going to just, how can I say, let's copy this first one. Let's copy this first part here first of all, and let me just paste it here. So the current user is going to be the user that is sending this ID. So now instead of this accept friend request, what we are going to do here is simple also. So inside of here, we are going to check if there's first of all a friend request that has already been sent. So now inside of here, we are going to check const friend requests equals to current user dot friend request dot find for the each request. And what are we trying to do here is we are trying to find the request dot friend user that is equals to this recipient, that is recipient recipient dot id dot to string, just like this. So copy this. So you want to check if there's already a friend request, and if there is no friend request, what we want to do here is we want to throw a new error that there is no friend request from this user, just like this. And first of all, here what you want to do is you want to check also if they are already existing friends, or what you're going to say is the current user dot friends it is going to be the current user dot friends, and for current user dot friends dot find, and for each friend that we're going to see here, what we want to return is we want to return the friend dot friend user that equals to this sender dot id dot to string, just like this. We want to check if this condition is met. Now if there is already existing friends, what we are going to do here is we are going to say throw new error, you are already friend to this user, like that. And if they are not friends, what I'm going to say here is I'm going to say update the friend request to approve. So what I'm going to say here is friend request dot is approved. It is going to be equal to true, and after that I am going to say here that I want to save all these changes inside of the database directly so that no problem happens. So I'm going to say here save the changes to sender and current user, that is document, in their documents. So I'm going to say await promise dot all, and inside of this promise dot all I will want to say here that the current user dot save, and also recipient dot save, like this. But now after that this update is done, above here, after we are done checking you're already a friend to this user, what we want to do now here is we want to accept the, let's say we want to accept the friend request by adding both user in like we're adding both users to each other, like to each other's friend array, just like this. So now we are going to say that the current it is going to be current user dot friends, which is going to be dot push. We are going to push this we are going to push the friend user. It is going to be here the ID that we got, and also the recipient dot friends. This is going to say also dot push the friend user, which is going to be the ID user ID dot to string, just like this. Now that we are done with that part, let me see if our server is crashed or something has happened so far. So no problem for now. Let's go to accept friend requests. Before accept the friend request here, now this is Miles account, so I'll need to log in as Miles. So let me say Miles here 1 2 3 4, so that I can have a token. So now let me copy this token and I go to accept user account here, and I'll paste Miles token inside of that. And now instead of this here, I am going to send now those email. So let me copy those ID and I put instead like that. Save my document and I'll spin to see if there's any problem so far. So yeah, I can see like a 200 requests for the login, but so far here I can't see anything. So let me cancel this request and I go to my user route here. So I have here friend request slash accept. So let me copy this endpoint. Let me copy it like that and I go back inside of my and I paste it like that and I change everything and I try to send again. So cannot read property undefined to string. So where is this coming from? So where is this coming from? So going back inside of my user controller here. So where is this coming from? Where is this coming from? Okay. Send friend request. No, this here is supposed to be for the recipient. I think the recipient.id, because here we are trying to check if the friend request, existing friend request, is the current user.friends. Yes, the current user.friends and the id.find. For each user or for each friend that we have, I want to check the friend.user, the one that's equals to my recipient user.id, just like that, dot to string. So now if I send again, so I can see that here they say you're already friend to this user. So I don't understand. Let me refresh. So if I check this friends array, okay, maybe for the first request it happened and something went through. Let me also check for this. I need to see those email. So actually this works, but for prevention's sake, let's delete this user John and Miles. So let's delete that first user. Let's delete this second user also. So now we have 0 users. So instead of here register here, I'm going to say a John. Instead of that, I'm going to have here John Doe, and I send a request. So that user was created, and I am also going to create another user that is going to be test, and the password, the email is going to also be test for the name, and I'll save it like that. So now we already have now 2 users that were created. So if I now go back here and I refresh my document, or I refresh my cluster, I can now see John Doe and this. So their email, their friend requests and everything is, they are empty and they are friends. So if I now go back, instead of login, let me log in with John, or let me log in with Doe. Let me send this. The password don't match because the password is 1234. So now let me copy this token. So I'll copy this token and I'll go to send friend request, and now update this token with the new token. Since this user does not exist, so after creating your new account, so I can now go back here and I try to send it instead to myself. So if I send, you can't send a friend request to yourself. So now let me log in with John or with test instead. So now let me copy test ID and I go here and I change this from my ID instead to test ID. So now I have here test friend request sent successfully. So now if I go here now and I refresh this page here, I need to see a test that has a friend request sent from Joe. So this is it that we have here. We have here the friend request that was sent. Great. And if I go to those here, there is no friend request that was sent to him. Great. Now if I go back now here and I say accept friend request, and I log in here as test, then I copy now my test token and I go back now to accept friend request. I change this token with my token and I copy those email, that is the email. If I copy his ID and I go here and I place instead of this place, save it and I send the request, it is now supposed to tell me that we have already have friend request has been accepted successfully, but the thing just keeps on running. So where is the problem coming from? Let me cancel this and let's try it again one more time. Already friends to this user. So actually there's an error somewhere, so let's check for the error. Const friend request equals to current user pattern. I think here it's supposed to be current user, so that there is no problem with the typography. So now I can think now the current user dot friend request dot find. For each request we are looking for the friend request that equals to this recipient dot id dot to string. Great. After this, okay, so this is where the thing is coming from. We are not sending nothing to the client like a response. So inside of here I am going to say that let's go again. I'm going to say that return rest dot status 200 dot send message, which is going to be equal to friend request accepted successfully. Friend request accepted, just like that. Just like that. And if I go back and I delete this user again for the last time, let's delete this user. We are deleting both users, and let's go to register. We create again this user, so account created successfully. We go and we log in. Let's create another user called Do. So here we are going to say now here I'm going to say Do. Let's give them the same email. Voila. And now let me log in with Do again. For this time I'll go with Do's token, copy Do's token, and now go to send friend request, copy it, and I test with his email or with his ID, and I send. You can't send a friend request to yourself. And after that, let me copy. So now let me log in with test, and let me copy test token, and I'll go to accept friend request, and I'll change this token to test token, and log in back again with Do, so I can have those ID. So now let me copy this ID, and I go back here, I change this ID to, and I can see that here there is no friend request from this user. So actually that is true. There's no friend request from that user. So let me send a friend request. Cannot send a friend request to yourself. Let me log in as test again. Test. Copy the ID, and I send it here. Friend request sent successfully. And if I now go back here and I send again, I need to see now the friend request accepted successfully. Now if I now go back to my page here and I refresh, I can see now the friend request for Do 0. but if I can check also for the friends, and also I can check for the friends that is here. So now both of them are friends. Great. So now for the accepting friend request, it is working successfully. Now I need to get now all the friends from a particular user. Now in order for me to get now these friends from a particular user here, what I'm going to say here is I'm going to go inside of here, and I'm also going to say cons. I'm going to destructure this user ID from request, or that is going to become from request.user like this. And what I'm going to say now here is const user equals to await user dot find by ID, and what I want to pass here is this user ID. What I will do now here is somehow like a glitchy trick that is going to say dot populate. What I want to populate here is the path where I want to populate. I want to populate with the path of the friends request and the friends user. So what I'm trying to say here is, let's first of all write the code. Friend requests, the friends request dot friend user here, and we want to select just the username. We want to select the username and the profile, just like this. Now that this is done, so we can now say now const friend request equals to user dot find or user dot friend request. If there is no user dot friend request here, what we are going to say, we are just going to return a normal empty array like this. So I'm also going to say const here pending request. This is going to be the request for the user that has not yet been approved. It is going to be friend request dot filter, because here we want to filter here all those that have not yet been approved. So I'm going to filter here the request, and those requests is approved. So what I'm trying to say here is I'm going to filter these pending requests are going to be all those requests that have not yet been approved. So it is going to give me, that is, if I have already approved your friend request, it is going to remove it from me, and it is just going to like give me now an empty. Like if I don't have no pending request, that is all those that have not yet answered that request, it is going to give me an empty array. But if I have some requests that have not yet answered, it is going to give me a complete array. So now here I'm going to say res dot say status 200 dot send. I'm going to have here friend request, which is going to be this pending request like this, just like this. And if there's any problem, it is going to give me an error. Now let's go to get all user friend requests. So now let me take in for this particular user here. Let's say we want to take in for, is this for Do? I don't know, but let's just go here and we say we want to get for the friend request, because I think that's the endpoint. If I go to my user route here, So I have here friend request router.get. So if I send here, cannot object what object ID failed from this part here. So what I'm going to do here is, this is because inside of this get user we have something like that. So I'm going to put here AU before that, so that now I can be able now to access this route successfully. So now it's telling me invalid signature. This is because I have not yet provided a token. Let me copy this token and I send instead of my authorization and my bearer here, I send my token like that. So now you can see here that I have empty friend request, because here if I check is it though, I'm going to see that all his friend requests, it is empty. And also for this one, it is also going to be empty, because for now we have like nothing that has been done. Great. So that endpoint works successfully. Now we are supposed to perform our last route, that is going to be for this. It is going to be able to delete user. Yes, get all user friend requests, just like that. And here it's not going to be get, here is going to be for router.delete, just like this. Checking my router database connected, and if I go inside of here, I can now say that inside of my delete user here, what I want to have inside of my delete user, first thing first, I want to have the current user. So I'm going to say const the user ID equals to request.params, and I'm also going to have const the ID equals to, this is going to be coming from request.user, pardon, then this one is going to be coming from request.params. And I'm going to first of all check here if this user, if the user ID dot to string, it is not equal to this ID here, I will say here throw new error, that is going to be you can only delete your profile. And if it is correct, or I'm just going to say await, let's say await user dot find by ID and delete, let's use this and delete here. And which ID do I want to pass? I just want to pass in this user ID. I want to pass this user ID, and I'm going to say res dot status dot 200 dot send, and I'm going to send a message that's going to just say account deleted, just like this. So I can now go back into my postman here, delete user, which is going to be a delete request, and It is coming from the user route slash, what's the endpoint? It is going to be ID. So let me pass in my ID here. Let me copy my ID and I paste it here, and I also copy the token, and I also go inside of my authorization header and I paste it there, and I send this request. So going back here, inside of this route here, I am going to say here delete, and I'm going to give here that user ID, or just going to be ID, so that instead of my postman here, to be more precise, I'm going to say here delete, and I'll save this one also. Go again and I will try. Let me log in with test so that I can have everything. So now we've logged in, we have our token. Let me copy the token, let me go here and I will change this token. Let me copy this user ID, go back here and I will save this ID, send in again my delete request, and I can see now here that account deleted. So which means that if I go back now here and I refresh, I need to see just one account, and if there are more than 2 accounts, as you can see here, test account is gone and just those account is found, which is great. So we came to the end of this video, and in the next video we are going to be building the post controller and all the post endpoints, that is to like, dislike, comment on a post. And also, if you love the content produced on this channel, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Till then, I'll see you. Peace.